Okay, thank you very much. Yesterday, I participated on another conference, and I heard a brand new expression. Instead of the floor is yours, the screen is yours. So the screen is mine. Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to give a warm welcome to all the participants as well the organizers. It's a pleasure and a great honor to me to be present on this conference. I'm a senior lecturer at Faculty of Law in University of Szeged, and I'm a researcher in Mádl Ferenc Institute of Comparative Law. As Professor Szilágyi mentioned, I'm not just a lawyer and an expert in family law, but a psychologist as well. So I would like to introduce you the psychological background of family protection. First, let's see what is legal psychology? How can we find the connection between law and psychology? During my work, I hear a lot that law and psychology are very far from each other, but to tell you the truth, it isn't true. Both science deal with human behavior, so the key word is human behavior. Psychology tries to understand, and law tries to control it. So they have a very, very strong tie. Before talking about family protection, I would like to describe why socialization in family is important. What do we learn while growing up in a family? First of all, we learn how to adjust to each other, how to cooperate with others. So we learn compliance. Integration is also very important. We learn how to fit in, or we learn how to manage our conflicts, or how to handle the tension between persons. We learn how to express and control our feelings, and to be able to love and to be loved. So it means that you let yourself love by somebody. It is also what you have to learn in your family. You learn in your family how to behave in certain circumstances, and in a family evolve your personality, your identity, and you receive values from your family members. We cannot avoid to throw a glance at new forms of family, as nowadays we have very new forms of family. Long families, I mean extended families, are not very common. The majority of Hungarian citizens live in a nuclear family. Nuclear family is consisting of parents and their children, so it's a core family, as Professor Csehi mentioned. It is a very small family. Single-parent family are comprised of a parent and one or more dependent children without the presence and support of a spouse or adult partner who is sharing the responsibility of parenting. They are likely to have financial hardships. Patchwork family refers to a family in which at least one parent brings a child from a previous relationship, and the couple may have a common child. It is also an important factor that gender roles have changed a lot recently. It means that men aren't that masculine as they used to be, and women had to develop new features and skills to adapt new challenges and altered circumstances. According to the famous American social psychologist Philip Zimbardo, he is a professor emeritus at Stanford University, who became known for his Stanford prison experiment in 1971. He said, boys have changed completely. In his book, Man Disconnected, he tries to reveal the reasons behind this phenomenon. He says the main problem is the lack of fathers. So there are a lot of children, especially boys, who have to grow up without a father in the family, only with a mother or with a grandmother. So they didn't have in the single-parent family a role model to accustom to. Another problem is that there are less male in higher education. I can see it here in Hungary as well, especially at Faculty of Law. We have very few boys, but a lot of girls. So it will lead to severe consequences as these women will find harder a proper partner according to their expectations. There were environmental changes as well. For example, we have a lot of sex hormones in natural waters, and the plant protection agents on our plants. So it is also a big problem for men, especially. There were effects of technology, especially video games and pornography. They are very, very bad for boys because they tear themselves away from reality because of video games, and they learn a very, very bad pattern from pornography because they think that that is real life, and of course it isn't. The rise of women is a very good thing. I'm very proud of that we can reach whatever we want, and there is no glass ceiling anymore. But we should have changed the role of men in these kind of situations, but it haven't happened yet. We have overprotective parents, which means that they protect their children from everything, so they can't learn how to live their lives. And the Zimbardo didn't say, but I added one more reason. I think elimination of compulsory military service is also a reason behind these changings. Now let's turn to the main points of family protection in a psychological point of view. What do we want? What is the best interest of the whole society? We would like to have more marriages, less divorce, and of course, more children. How can we reach our goals in a point of psychology? More marriages. Let me begin with some statistics. According to the Hungarian Central Statistical Office, in 2010, there were 35,520 weddings in Hungary altogether, but in 2020, 67,301 couples said I do, even in COVID circumstances. So we are on the right track, I would say. Something has started. Why marriages are so important in a point of psychology? Because they are much more stable than civil partnership. According to Professor Bagdi's survey, women feel much safer in a marriage than in a civil partnership. And according to statistics, a marriage lasts much longer than a civil partnership. An average marriage lasts for 15 years, but an average civil partnership lasts only for 6 years. And because of stability, more children are born out of wedlock than out of civil partnership. Our second aim is less divorce. Again, some statistics. In 2010, there were 23,872 divorces, and in 2019, 17,600. So it is much less. So we are on the right track, I would say again, but we need some more changes. Now, let me explain the effects of divorce on children. Divorce causes uncertainty to children, and of course, they get into a crisis. They always feel an irrational sense of guilt, which means that they really think that they were the reason of divorce. Of course, it depends on the age of the child, but the younger they are, the more they feel this sense of guilt. That's why it is very important to explain them that it was not that fault, of course. According to social psychology surveys, they start sex life at a younger age, and this situation also affects their personality development, so they have lower self-esteem. They usually get married at an older age, or they get married never, or take on a child later, or sometimes never. So they are very severe consequences. Why is an ugly divorce poisonous to children, and how affects the whole society? It conveys a bad pattern. These children will learn very quickly that marriage is bad, so they never want to get married. In the case of crisis, divorce is the only way out. This is what they learn from these situations. So they won't try to save the marriage if they are in a crisis. They just get divorced. So it is obvious that it leads to severe private and social consequences. So how can we reach less divorce, or at least prevent ugly divorces? First, we need to be aware that every marriages have matrimonial crisis. It comes natural. We shouldn't be afraid of it. We should learn how to handle it. If we can't do it without help, there are mediation or couples therapy, for example. If divorce is inevitable, because there are cases that we can't manage our conflicts and the only way out is to get divorced, yes, I wouldn't say that you shouldn't get divorced in your life, but if you do it peacefully, and mediation and couples therapy will help you in this situation as well. For example, with the help of a divorce mediator or a divorce therapist, I'm sure that you have never heard about these helpers, but they are, and they can help you in this situation. So if you decide on save the marriage, you can turn to a mediator, a couples mediator, or a couples therapist. And if you decided on divorce, you can turn to a divorce mediator or a divorce therapist. So they can help you to handle all your conflicts and find the best way to get divorced. Because it is crucial to maintain a good relationship between the parents and the children, even in case of family dissolution. Our third goal is to have more children. It is not that easy either. It depends on a lot of psychological factors. For example, in 2010, 90,335 children were born. In 2020, 89,193. So it's almost the same. We didn't develop at this field, but it doesn't depend only on measures or the wish to have a child. So it also depends on a lot of psychological factors. We have factors which are in favor of childbearing. For example, religion. Religious people have more children, so it is a very important point of view. Wedlock instead of civil partnership. As I have mentioned, those who live in a marriage tend to have more children than those who aren't married. And of course, state aids are also very important because financial security and predictable future are crucial to start a family. But unfortunately, we have a lot of factors against childbearing. For example, nowadays we have too many opportunities. I mean, in career, in education, travel around the world, and parents have to give up quite a lot opportunities. And there are people who don't want to give up these opportunities. As I mentioned, women tend to have higher education than men. And it leads to a quite new problem that they can't find a proper partner because well, it's an evolutional thing that women like if their partner, their man, have a higher education that they have. So it is very hard to find the proper partner. There is almost any help available for young parents because they can't count on their parents, I mean the grandparents, because of the distance. Maybe they live too far from them, or if they start a family at an older age, the grandparents are also very old, so they can't help in child bearing. And it is also a new problem that it takes more time to bring up a child. They leave the secure family nest much later, and they need financial support, for example, until the 30th age. So it is much harder to bring up a child. The other problem is that relationships aren't strong enough. And if you can't trust your partner, it of course means that you don't want to have a child. The other problem is that it is hard to find the proper partner. It is very strange for me because nowadays we have much more opportunities to date or to get to know each other, or internet is everywhere and you can find whatever you want. So I don't understand it, why it is harder to find a proper partner as it used to be, for example, for my grandparents who didn't have these opportunities. And it is a very new phenomenon, lack of wish. There are a lot of people who simply don't want to have a child. It's a very new phenomenon. I have read a book about it. It is called Women Without Child. It was very interesting. I suggest you to read it. Or they simply run out of time. They think that they have time. I don't have to have a child because I'm only 36. Oh, I'm just 38. I have time, but they don't have. So they run out of time. And there is one new phenomenon. This is called quarter-life crisis. It is a bit similar to midlife crisis. It means that they don't dare to start their own life and start a family, settle down for life. They stay together with their parents and they don't want to live on their own. It is in connection with Mama Hotel. This is also a new phenomenon. They provide, parents provide everything for their big children. To sum up and finish my presentation, I collected the most important things which are crucial for a child's healthy development. Security. Parents and family have to provide security for the child. Of course, protection and stability are also very, very important. Acceptance is also crucial. We have to accept our child, and unconditional love. I would say this is the most important. This is what we have learned in development psychology, that, for example, you shouldn't punish your child with this conditional love. So you shouldn't say to your child, I don't love you because you made a mistake or you did something wrong. We always should tell the child that I love you in any circumstances, and I'm not angry to you. I'm angry because of what you have done. It's a huge difference. So unconditional love is one of the most important things in childbearing or childbringing. Care is also very important. Consistent educational principles, which means that the parents should be consistent with each other. So if I say yes, the father also has to say yes, because children need consistent educational principles. And at last but not least, role models are also very important. There is a difference between mother and father. I mean, the roles of a mother and a father. Mother has to be protective, caring, and loving. But the father has to be the mentor, the advisor for the child, and they have to be inspiring and encouraging to learn how to behave as a man or as a woman. So this is what children learn in their family at the first stages. And thank you very much for your attention.